Good morning, everyone. Today is another day that the Lord has made. I welcome you back to ICT class. So last class, we discussed about a topic called safety and security. Safety and security. So we are still going to continue with that same topic. But today, under this topic, we are going to discuss what we call e-safety, that is electronic safety. So we are going to talk about personal data, that is how you can protect your personal data. So now let's move to the next slide where you are going to see the objective. As you can see on my screen, I have four objectives. At the end of this lesson, students will be able to explain what is meant by personal data. Number 2, students will be able to explain why personal data should be confidential and protected. Number 3, students will be able to explain how to avoid inappropriate disclosure of personal data and why e-safety is needed. Number 4, which is the last objective, students will be able to state the strategies to minimize potential dangers. So these are the four objectives expected to be achieved at the end of today's lesson. Now let's move to the next slide. Personal data. What is personal data? Personal data is any type of data that can be used to directly or indirectly identify an individual. That can be used to directly or indirectly identify an individual. So that is what is called personal data. The personal data has to do with what? Data that someone can use to identify you as an individual. Now, what are the examples of personal data? As you can see on my screen, I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have about 8 examples of personal data here. Number 1, contact details. Your contact details is one of the examples of what? Of personal data, e.g., your phone number, your email address. Number 2, address details. Your address is part of what? Of your personal data. Number 3, personal images, like your picture. Your picture is personal to you. They can use your picture to identify you. They can identify you with your picture. Number 4, payment details, including card and bank details. Number 5, medical history. Your medical history is also part of what? Of your personal data. Now the next one is political views. The next one is family details. Your family details is also part of your what? Of your personal data. The last one here on my screen is your password. Your password. Your password is personal to you. You must not reveal your password to anybody because it's personal to you. Now let's move to the next slide. Before moving to the next slide, I hope there's no question here. Yes, good. So now let's move to the next question, to the next slide. Why personal data should be confidential and protected? Why personal data should be confidential and protected? There are many reasons why your personal data should be confidential and protected, because your data, your personal data is confidential. Is a personal information to you. Now let us look at them. The first one is users can be stalked or even kidnapped. So status updates can alert people of your location at a particular time. You can see the reason why your personal data should be confidential. So you must not reveal your location to people anyhow to avoid what? To avoid the kidnapping, especially for for students. The second one, details can be stolen, copied, or passed on. Number 3, users could be blackmailed or threatened into doing inappropriate things. Users could be blackmailed or threatened into doing inappropriate things. Now the last one, customers' details could be sold onto a third party. So you can see that your personal data is very, very important. You have to keep them confidential. You have to protect them. So these are the reasons why personal data should be confidential and protected. I hope you are getting the concept. Good. Now let's move to the next slide. Yes, how to avoid inappropriate disclosure of personal data. Number 1, ensure privacy setting in social media sites have been activated. At least ensure that your private setting in social media sites have been activated. That is, you have to activate your privacy setting, whether in your WhatsApp, in your Facebook. So you have to ensure that your private setting in your social media site have been activated. Number 2, do not share data via social media or email with strangers. It's very important. With strangers, very, very important. So that they will not use it against you. Number 3, which is the last one here, do not post inappropriate images or content. It's very, very important. It's very, very important. We should limit the type of post that we normally post. As in, we should look at the content of the post that we normally post in social media and site, especially in Facebook. Now let's move to the next slide. Why e-safety is needed? Why e-safety is needed? These days, the younger ones are not fully aware of the dangers the internet poses and the potential risk they may put themselves under. For that reason, e-safety lessons are taking place in schools to educate young people, the young ones, about the potential risk of using the internet appropriately so that they know how to stay safe while being online. It's very, very important. Most of the young ones, they don't know the dangers in using internet. That is why students must be educated. So these are the reason why e-safety is needed. It's very, very important. I hope I am communicating with someone. Good. Now let's move to the next slide. Minimize the potential dangers. So these are the strategies used to minimize the potential dangers. You can see on this screen now, I have just only 2 here. So the rest will be in the next slide. So you can see how you can minimize potential dangers at the right hand side where the arrow is pointing to. So now let's address the first one, personal use of internet, general browsing, researching for school projects, online shopping or banking. So these are the areas that you can make use of what? You can make use of internet. Internet is very, very good. You can use it to what? For general browsing. You can use it to research. You can use it for online shopping. But take note, there are some dangers associated with the use of what? Of internet. Now, how can we minimize? How can we minimize this danger? Only use trusted websites or those recommended by teachers. Don't go to any website and start what? And start navigating there. You have to visit the trusted website. It's very, very important. Number 2, only use a student-friendly search engine with safety filters. With what? With safety filters. It's very, very important. It's very, very important. It's very, very important. Now the next one, restrict access to certain content via internet service provider that we normally call ISP or filtering software. So these are the things that you can do to minimize potential dangers while using internet. The next one now, use of email to keep in touch with friends, family, and so on. So this is one of the benefit of the use of email. The next one, to share information including attachment, images, presentation, etc. and etc. Now we also use email to get in touch with organizations. But as you are doing this, you have to have it at the back of your mind that there are some dangers attached to them. Now, how can you minimize all these dangers when you are using your email? Number one, only email people already known to you or from your contact list. Yes, don't send email to just anyhow people. You have to send email to the people that you have already known. The next one, think before opening an email from an unknown person. Yes, you have to think very well before you open an email from an unknown person. If possible, in fact, you can even confirm before you open an email from an unknown person. The next one, which is the last way of minimizing potential danger here. Be careful about emailing your school's name or a picture of yourself in school uniform. Is very, very important. Is very, very important because you can be identified with all this. You can be identified with your picture. You can be identified with your name. You can be identified with your school uniform. To avoid kidnapping, to avoid to avoid problem or having problem with people that you do not even know, or to avoid having problem with your personal data. So you have to be very careful about emailing your school's name or a picture of yourself in school uniform. I hope you are getting this concept. Good. Now let's move to the next slide, which is the last slide. Now we are still on how we can minimize the potential dangers. Now the next one, use of social media. Use of social media, in fact, that is what is even trending this time around. Yeah, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, like that. So, but you have to have it at the back of your mind that there are a lot of dangers attached to them. Personal use. Share information about yourself to your friends and followers. That is the use of of social media. Number two, business use. You can use social media for business purpose, for promotion or awareness. Now, how can we minimize the danger attached to this use of social media? Number one, know how to block and report unwanted users in chat room. Number two, never give out any personal information online. It's very, very important. It's very, very important. If someone asks you to give him or her your personal data while chatting, please, or online, please don't do that. Don't do that. That person can call you and communicate with you directly that, is in need of of your personal data. The next one, never arrange to meet strangers, especially in a place that is not safe. In a place that is not safe. Keep adults informed about your use of social media. It's very, very important. Now let's move to the last one, online gaming. I know that you are conversant with playing game online, but there are a lot of dangers attached to this. Online gaming is now very popular over many platforms. More games are now provided multiplayer options with some games. Maps especially created for online gamers Now, how can you minimize the danger attached to this online gaming? Number one, never use real name when playing games online. Yes, never use what? Use real name. Never use real name. You can make use of what? Of your nickname, so that you will not be identified with your real name. Next one, use appropriate language when using headset and communicating with other gamers. It's very, very important. The last one, only play online with trusted friends. Yes, with trusted friends. Please don't play game with unknown people. Unknown people. You can only play game with trusted friends. Please take note of this. So I hope you have gotten this concept. Good. We have come to the end of today's lesson. Thank you, and God bless you.